and welcome to the first normal form. Now that we've introduced you to normalization, it's time to walk into the individual rules of normalization. These rules are called normal forms, basically, in the whole concept of normalization. There's first normal form, second normal form, and third normal form. This particular video will walk through what first normal form is, and in doing so, we'll talk about what it is, how do you recognize that a table is not in first normal form, what does it accomplish by putting tables in first normal form? How to apply the rule? I'm going to give you a set of rules so you can just kind of go by it and learn how to apply it. And then we'll show you by an example how the whole thing kind of works. All right, let's get started. So the first normal form is very simple. Basically, it states that we're going to eliminate repeating groups of data from our table or eliminate repeating columns from our table. I sort of like the second definition better. We're literally looking for columns that repeat. What do we mean by that? But basically, we're looking for a number of columns that hold the same type of data. For example, course 1, course 2, course 3, customer 1, customer 2, order 1, order 2, order 3, favorite song 1, favorite song 2, favorite song 3. Those types of things that we see repeating that could be on one line of data. That's repeating columns. What does it accomplish? The biggest accomplishment of first normal form is to allow scalability in our database. So by having repeating columns, we're limited by the total amount of those columns. I hope you agree with that. Meaning that if we only have 10 columns to add for 10 courses for a student, what happens if they take an 11th course, a 12th course? All right, by creating a new column and using a row to represent the column, as many rows as necessary can be added. At this point in time, you should understand that whole concept of a row. So a row is an instance, right? An instance of that particular situation. So based upon your understanding now of a student, and a student ID could being the primary key in the student table, and your understanding of a foreign key, correct? In the course table, in this case here, every row represents the courses that that student has taken. This allows scalability. That's what first normal form is all about. In addition, we eliminate wasted space in our database, which will speed up the database. If we didn't allow this first normal form, if somebody took, let's just say we allowed for 100 courses per student, but if somebody took 2 courses, that's a lot of wasted space that is not being filled in. In this case, by allowing rows to represent the courses that are actually being taken, all right, it'll always be filled out, and we won't have a wasted space. If they only took 2 courses, there'll only be 2 rows. If somebody took 100 courses, there'll be 100 rows in that table. Finally, this allows for much easier query development. You're slowly getting into what queries are all about, but basically that's what this whole thing is that we can now very easily query and very easily get the information back that we're looking for as it pertains to students and the courses they've taken and so on. All right? Let me say something else like for this. Primarily, everything you've done in the design phase of this course really lent itself to first normal form. You've already kind of gotten there. Now what we're doing is just putting a little bit more, to it so you understand that what first normal form is all about. So up to this point, primarily you have accomplished first normal form with everything you've done by designing your databases the way we have so far in the course. That's a good thing. How do we apply the rule? If we're going to take a database, let's just say we're taking an Excel spreadsheet and we want to normalize it into a relational database, okay, versus going through the design phase like we have done before, which is not what I recommend. I'm just saying if we did it this way, this is how we would apply the rule. We would create a new table with a name representing the repeating group of data, for example, T courses or T orders. We would create a new primary key for the new table, for example, INT course ID or INT order ID. We would move all repeating attributes to the new table and take off any numbers from the name. We delete all repeating attributes from the original table, which would be the parent table. kind of look at these, and once again, I have the PowerPoint available for you to be able to take notes on and memorize this. For the most part, we'll go through it here in a second and how to apply this and walk through each one of these rules. But for the most part, make sure you understand what we're doing here. Based on this new table, we're going to determine the relationship between the tables, sort of what we have done before, using the same rules you already know. If the relationship is one to many, the new table becomes the child table. Therefore, it holds the foreign key that references the primary key of the parent table. If the relationship is many to many, you are to create a new table named for two tables. An example would be student courses. This becomes the child table of both the other tables. Therefore, it must hold the foreign key that references the primary key of the two parent tables. Does that make sense? Same rules have you already been using. This is nothing new, but this is how first normal form works. And like I said, in a sense, you've been doing it. You just haven't realized you've been dealing with first normal form in designing your databases. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a try. Let's see, I'm going to get out of here and let's bring up Visio. We'll bring this up first, and I'm going to go ahead and so here's an example before we get into Visio of Excel. So see, this is an Excel spreadsheet. In a sense, it's a database, right? But it's not a relational database, but it's a database that's holding data. If we look at this, we have our student name, student address, student city, student state, high school location, and here it says course 1 instructor, course 1, book 1, course 1, book 2, course 2 instructor, course 2, book 1, and course 2, book 2. Do you see a repeating columns? I hope you do. In this sense here, we can see that course 1 instructor, the books, and so on, all repeat. All right? In that sense, this is not in first normal form. So let's go to Visio and kind of look at this. I kind of did this before we got into the video, and I put this entity, if you will, called students together, right? Which had the same attributes or columns, if you will, in the entity here, okay? So what we want to do is get in first normal form, all right? So to get in the first normal form, following the rules, the first thing we're going to do is create a table, and it's going to represent, the name of the table will represent the repeating columns. In this case, it would be courses. If I can spell it, there you go, courses. Okay? The second, the second part of the rule, or the way to apply it, the second step would be create a primary key, int, course ID. We'll just say course ID. Okay, there you go. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to find the repeating columns. And in this case here, we're going to take these repeating columns and basically make them attributes over here. So it'd be course 1, okay, course 1, course 1 instructor. Let's see, we'll get a few more attributes here. Oops, sorry. There we go. And let's see, we got course 1 instructor, course 1 book 1, and finally course 1 book 2. All right. So the next piece we did, the next statement in our application was to eliminate the numbers. So in this case here, we go back. If I can get on this thing, there we go, and we'll take off the number. So basically, what we're doing is we're making rows now of all this information. So in this case, course book 1, and finally course book 2. There we go. It's over a little bit. All right. The next part of the rule is to come here and eliminate these columns. Let me go down here and start eliminating from the bottom. There you go. Perfect. All right. Now what we have is we created, in a sense, the first normal form. We eliminated repeating columns. We put it in its own table. The next piece is to look at the relationship between these two, correct? So what is the relationship between students and courses? So for, in this case, for every student, they can be in many courses. For every course, it can have many students. So once I build this relationship here, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and make this a straight line. Come on over. There you go. All right. My end is going to be, end symbol will be one or more, right? So here we go. So we have many to many in this situation, right? Every student, they should be in many courses, and for every course, it can be many students. Based upon this relationship and something that you already know, since I have a many to many relationship, I need to create a brand new table. This brand new table will be our many to many table, which should reflect the name of the two parent tables. So course students, we will then have a course student ID, okay? And with that, this needs to reflect the foreign keys. So here, it would be the student ID, and then finally, the course ID. Does this make sense? All right. So let's make sure our lines are correct. So now this is going to turn into a one-to-many situation, correct? Whoops. There we go. My begin symbol is one and only one. And my end symbol here should be, let's see, end symbol, there you go. We'll say, yeah, 0 or more. There we go. And then this one right here, my begin symbol looks good. My end symbol should be one and only one. So now it's one to many and one to many. Now, based upon that, our student table is now in first normal form. We see any other issues here, and is there any other repeating columns? The goal here is to get every one of your tables in first normal form before we ever move on to second normal form. So with that said, is there anything repeating? And I'm hoping you're looking at this course table and seeing that the books are actually repeating. All right, but since the books are actually repeating, that is not in first normal form, so we will bring this out. All right, and in this case here, we'll call this books. All right, and this will be a book ID. All right, and see, there are attributes, maybe just a book description we'll have in here. Okay, there you go. All right. So book description representing the actual book name here that we have here. Okay, so if we follow the rule, we should have brought down course book. We probably should. Let's follow the rule. Let me not confuse you here. So in this case here, we should bring down course book one, just like this. Okay, we'll eliminate this one, and we'll take the number off of this one. Okay, so following those set of how to apply rules, that's how we do it. Okay. What do you think? Now my next piece is looking at the relationship. So the question is, how many books can a course have? Well, obviously it can have many, so this is one to many. So the next question is, can a book be applied to multiple courses? And I will tell you the answer is yes. So once again, we're back to a many-to-many relationship here. Obviously now that you know, if I have a many-to-many relationship, I come here and I add this third table. Somehow let's bring this over here. There we go. This is going to be now the course books table, right? This will have the course ID, and this will have the book ID. And both of these, I should fix that on the previous one also, is the foreign key, and this one is the foreign key. And in doing that, let's go back here and make sure everybody understands this too. This is the foreign key, and this is the foreign key. Does that make sense? This is going to be a one-to-many relationship between books and course books. And so let's go ahead and get our relationship piece here. I'll make this a straight line. So I'm fighting these little lines here. Okay. There you go. And this is going to be the beginning symbol will be, it's the one and only one, and the end symbol will be, we'll say 0 or more. That's fine. And the same thing, vice versa. Give this little space here. There we go. And we'll come in here, straight line. And in this case here, there's our 1, and hopefully to our many. There you go, one to many, one to many. So now courses is in first normal form. So based upon what we have now accomplished, everything is in first normal form. None of this should be new to you. Like I said, everything you've done up to this point basically has been first normal form based upon you looking at the entities and understanding the relationship between the entities. So we've applied first normal form just about in everything we've done so far in this course. This just gives it some, some meaning. Now you know what first normal form actually means. And in doing so, if you had that Excel spreadsheet and somebody says, can you normalize this in a relational database? This is what you would do. You would look for the repeating columns, and in looking for the repeating columns, you would follow these rules and these steps to applying it. All right? I hope that makes sense.